So there are many writings of the Rambam that are not necessarily well publicized in the English language literature. And so, as an example, one volume from Fred Rosner is the Medical Legacy of Maimonides. And within this volume, one can see a subset of aphorisms and statements and testaments that the Rambam mentions. One thing that the Maimonides mentions as regards to illnesses of the chest is something which the Ibn Ezra, a couple of, I think a century or so later, in central Italy, commented on as well in his writings on the Chumash in Leviticus, where the Rambam, very much ahead of his time, comments on the importance of the right-sided heart in pulmonary circulation and in the oxygenation phase of circulation. This was a very unique concept, and in the Tanya, some of the Rambam's views on this can be explored, wherein the nefesh, the physical soul, the viable soul, relates to the right heart, wherein the blood gets its oxygenation. And I'm always, without experiment, the Rambam, when it came to medicine, was an empiricist and required evidence. What the evidence that the Rambam had in achieving something like this is really hard to understand and to fathom, or for that matter, how the Ibn Ezra came to a similar finding that the right-sided heart played a role in oxygenation, which was separate from the left side of the heart. I think the main message for me from the Rambam was really his devotion to his patients. He was a devoted scholar and a rabbi to his community, but at the same time was a tremendously devoted physician, and would put a significant portion of his day dedicated to the healing arts and to medicine, the practice of medicine. It was really one of the messages that you have to make part of your day for study and part of your day for healing. And I think that balance that he practiced himself is really a message that as a physician, I would try to emulate. And a message that I think he did as a physician, but everyone can implement in their own life. I really, truly believe that one's success as a physician comes from their ability to find another outlet to ground themselves in. And for those of us who are Torah observant, we find that outlet in the Torah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rosenberg. And as you know, the Talmud says, you save one life, you save the world. And you saved the world so many times over with so many people who really called upon you. And I know, like you said, it all comes from Hashem, but he chose a wonderful messenger. You being the one to be there for so many people for support and guidance during this very difficult time. So keep up your tremendous work. Don't leave, because we have an amazing speaker coming up, Rabbi Levi Jacobson. But I want to just say something that you just touched upon, I think leads into the next speaker. You said that the Rambam, Maimonides, was an empiricist. He was into reality. He wasn't into cloudy teachings. He was, everything had to make sense scientifically. And he saw godliness as something very real. So he wouldn't have put anything into his works unless he saw it as something real. So I think that's going to lead wonderfully into our next speaker, Rabbi Levi Jacobson. Rabbi Levi, I am going to unmute you. I'm not going to mute Rabbi Dr. He spoke more like a rabbi than a doctor. We were getting nervous that he was, I couldn't, do we call you Rabbi Rosenberg or Dr. Rosenberg? But you, are you both? Do you have smicha? Levi, you're on, Rabbi Levi Jacobson, you're unmuted. But I just want to tell one cute story, but I'd like to, hear your feedback, Dr. Rosenberg. Is in 1985, I was in yeshiva. I was a rabbinical student in Montreal, Canada. And I was called home because there was an epidemic going on in New York, and maybe in some other communities, where it was a epidemic in 1985. And it ended up that my father received it. He ended up being stricken by the epidemic, by the hepatitis. And he was literally in bed. He couldn't even turn over, couldn't get out of bed. And the doctors, of course, don't have this as an approved method of healing, but I believe it comes from the Rambam. If you take a pigeon and put it on the patient's belly, on the belly button, the pigeon sucks out the hepatitis. And I could only say that I saw it myself. I went to the chicken market, I bought a whole case of pigeons, and 21 pigeons were used on my father. And literally he went from not being able to move, and as each pigeon sucked out the illness, by the end of it, he was literally able to get out of bed for the first time in a week. And I saw it firsthand. And my understanding that this comes from the Rambam. Is this so? Did I hear right? Dr. Rosenberg, are you familiar? Are you muted? Why are you mute? I didn't mute you. 1 second. Go ahead.
I believe it's a Gemara.
Oh, it's a Gemara, not Rambam?
I think the Rambam mentions it, and I think the Chofetz Chaim mentions it in Mishnah Berurah as well. So it's multimodal, but the fact that the Rambam brought it down is evidence that it is a refuah that he trusted.
Okay, and it comes from Torah, not from the New England Journal of Medicine. So that's